Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, addressing the UK skills gap with the University of Leeds BSc in Textile Innovation. As today's webinar is open to all industry and not just UKFT members, I should probably introduce myself formally for those who don't know me. I'm Katie and I'm UKFT's Textile Membership Manager. I'll be chairing today's webinar, but it will be delivered by Professor Stephen Russell and Professor Mohammed Tassif from University of Leeds. We'll cover housekeeping. So if you encounter any audio or visual issues, please let us know in the Zoom chat box for that. It will be monitored by UKFT staff. If you've got any questions for them, please use the Zoom Q&A section as they come to you. Steve and Tausif are happy and actively inviting questions during, at the end and post-webinar. And lastly, we will be recording this session for everyone to access at a later date on playback. UKFT, so for people who don't know, UKFT is the largest network for fashion and textile businesses in the UK, serving as the industry's leading trade association and sector skills body. You are obviously here today to hear about how we are addressing the skills gap in textile manufacturing via one of UKFT's most engaged education partners. And it's important subjects like this in which UKFT is committed to supporting our sector. It really is worth mentioning UKFT have got much more to offer. So if you or your teams are ever wanting any kind of support across business, trade, compliance, recruitment, sales, marketing, sustainability, skills, training, funding, etc., please do reach out to me after this webinar and I will be happy to chat. That's enough from me, I think. I'm going to swiftly hand over to Steve and Tausif, who are going to share some key insights and answer your questions around the Leeds University BSc in Textile Innovation. Steve, Tausif, the webinar is all yours.
Thank you very much, Katie. I think before we share our screen, maybe quickly introduce ourselves. So I'm Mohammed Tassif. I'm known as Tassif. I'm Professor of Sustainable Textile Manufacturing. I'm a textile engineer by background, and I am Head of School of Design. So the BSc Textile Innovation and Sustainability is a program in the school. It's an undergraduate program, so we'll go through slides in a minute, and I would invite Steve to introduce himself as well.
Yeah, thanks, Tausif. Good morning, everyone. I'm Steve Russell. I'm Chair of Textile Materials and Technology at the University of Leeds, and also Director of the Leeds Institute of Textiles and Colour, which is a large university-wide research institute which is based in the School of Design but operates across the campus. And it's an industry-led research institute. So obviously we're focused on dealing with many of the industry's challenges and opportunities, working alongside colleagues in the school, also educating the next generation of people, hopefully for our industry to take it forward.
Before we make a start, I think you can hear me fine. Yeah. So in terms of as a school, so we offer a range of programs. So for our undergraduate offer, from art and design to graphic design to fashion design, innovation, fashion marketing, sustainable fashion, and then we offer what we're talking about today is a BSc Textile Innovation and Sustainability program. And I think I would like to thank especially Katie and UKFT for inviting us and giving us this platform to talk about the program, because we have worked very closely with UKFT, as you see in the details of the presentation, to make this program happen. And we want to work more closely with the UKFT and the wider UK industry and international industry to really work more on this program in the long term. So the main thing, as you see from the title, is about addressing the UK skills gap. So we talk about addressing the UK skills gap. I think, again, way back in 2022, we worked with UKFT and we undertook a survey with UK businesses in the sector, which were, UKFT members. and we asked this question, is there a need for a course focused on textile technology? And you can see, there's a 99%. Yes, there's 103 respondents, and the responses were from a range of companies, all the way from textile manufacturers to retailers to brands to relevant organizations, test houses. So a very, very broad range of responses which we got there. And then the second thing is focusing more on, that would your company specifically need, graduates in this sector. So I think again you can see 87% of the respondents said yes. So that just gives you there is a skills gap. There's a need. There is a demand of the course in the sector. So what we did was we looked at some of the comments which were as a part of the survey. So we looked qualitatively here. So some of the key skills people were looking for, quality and testing, product development, production and manufacturing, sustainability, specialist applications, technical customer, and supply relationships. So it just tells you not only on a factory or a manufacturing facility, but across the whole supply chain, there is a need for those textile technology graduates. And one thing which kept on coming back again and again is about succession planning. So this is specifically to UK, that we have that aging, kind of workforce, and we don't have that pipeline of people coming in to take those textile technology roles in there. And then some companies mentioned, like outsourcing, so not having the skills, so then they have to involve, external companies. And they talked about, the regulatory, the compliance environment is changing very rapidly. So how to ensure that, we have skills and we have graduates with the right skills to fill those gaps within the sector. So, Steve, I don't know if you want to add anything before we go ahead.
Yeah, just to say, I think you can see some of the skills there, and there are others. And I think what we notice is that the lack of textile technologists within firms, within manufacturing firms, even within retail as well, poses risks, because we have to make informed decisions based on technical evidence. So it's important that we have people who can understand the evidence that's being presented and make those informed decisions so that we can run businesses effectively. So there is risk not having those skills available. And although continuing professional development has an important role to play, obviously, you can imagine a buying department with very little technical skill could make mistakes as we move into this much more regulated environment that we have, particularly in Europe. So I think it's a really important set of skills, which historically we've had, and then there's been a large chunk of time where we really haven't been graduating people in textile technology. And I think it's a gap that we really need to plug to ensure the future success of our industry in the UK.
Thank you, Steve. And actually, we can also see that, the work we do with continuing professional development, CPD, and professional learning with the industry, that is an area which, that textile technology skills, that technology is an enabler to make most business decisions in fashion, textiles, technical textile industry. So, so that is a key gap across the wider sector as well, So I think so I'm gonna play a small video. So I'm not going to play the full video. We'll drop a link in the chat. So I think based on that feedback, we had internal discussions, and we started planning about the course. And I think this video gives you a quick introduction, how we really position this course for the students, because that is the most important part of this equation. How to convey to students who are coming to study in university that there's a skills gap, how this sector offers, graduate opportunities, outcomes beyond university. So I'm going to play that video, and then we'll continue with the rest of the presentation.
Innovation and sustainability are the future of the textiles industry. They're on a mission to tackle world challenges, innovating materials from our homes to outer space. But this requires visionaries who can discover and apply new solutions. So this is a call to you, the dreamers, the creators, the scientists. The world of textiles is waiting for you to make a real impact. Here at the University of Leeds, the School of Design has created a course to provide you with the knowledge and the skills to tackle these challenges. If you are looking to be a leader in textiles innovation and sustainability, then this is the place and this is the course for you.
So I hope you could hear that, see that. So I think we're going to go through a bit more details about the course itself and more about, I think, the facilities, the capabilities which we have at Leeds to offer this course and how we work with partners to, to make it happen. It was launched in September 2024, as we already established, filling that skills gap for succession planning, ensuring there is a supply of, graduates for the UK textile industry and the international textile industry. We have to remember we are a world, top 80. We are 77th rank in the world, QS ranking. So we attract a lot of UK students and interested students, and our industry being very international. So it has a UK and an international focus, both of them there. So we started the course, launched it there. So currently we are recruiting third cohort. So this September 2026, we'll have third cohort of the BSc coming to the course. And the course is a 3-year course, but there's an optional industry placement year. So after completing your 2 years, so you will, at the start of second year, students will start looking for these industry placements. At the end of the second year and before they come back, so they spend a year doing an industry placement, so which is an optional. But like first cohort right now, most of our students are looking. I think actually most have actually secured placement. So from this September, from first cohort, a lot of our students will be going to do industry placements mostly in the UK sector there. And I would also like to mention that in 2025, University of Leeds were given a national honor, so Queen Elizabeth Prize for Education. So this is for textile education and textile research. So Leeds as a university is 120 years old, and textiles heritage and history is 152 years old to be very precise. So we have that history and heritage. So we were recognized for that. So I think for our textile education, research, impact, so Leeds has that strong history and heritage there. And again, as Steve introduced, he's the director of LETEX, since 2021. So we really harness all of our expertise together to really focus on textiles across the university and across the sector there. I don't know, Steve, you want to add something else before we go to the details of the course?
Yeah, just to, I suppose I can just add that the way that we've organized ourselves now is to reflect the reality of the industry, and that we aren't operating in a silo. So we have a very interdisciplinary group of researchers here also teaching in our programs, including the BSc. So that full context, that full perspective that includes the technical issues, the business issues, the regulatory understanding, the issues around the circular economy, the fact that we have to remember that economy means it needs to make business sense, not just academic sense. So these are all very important sort of realities that underpin what we do. And I think, this also is fundamentally not a fashion course, right? So it's a textile course. Fashion is an application, if you like, of textile technology. But it goes far beyond that. We have to remember the industry, particularly in Europe and in the UK, is much wider than just clothing, into technical textiles, non-wovens as well. And this program addresses the needs of that part of our industry, that important part of our industry, as well as, if you like, the more traditional elements of it.
Yeah, well, I think fully agreed. I think, and Steve, as you said, fashion, again, technology is an enabler to develop better products, durable products. So a lot, technology is embedded all across the different sectors of the textiles itself. So I'll briefly will talk about the course details, but I put a QR code there as well, and we can share these links afterwards, and everything is available, the information on our university web pages. I think the course covers, textile science, technology, innovation, sustainability, and, we also give a broader exposure to different sets of option modules. So if I look at some of the examples here, students in the first year, they would start with, if I talk mainly about the textiles modules here, they start with the sustainable textile manufacturing and industry module. So they will understand the whole landscape from all the way from polymer all the way up to a final finished product and everything which goes in the middle between there. So they get that initial understanding that where is the whole chain. And then we have individual modules. For example, we have textile fibers module, I have focus on fashion. We have a module, then we have yarn manufacturing, knitted fabrics, woven fabrics, finishing dyeing, performance testing, evaluation of the quality control, garment manufacturing, and then as Steve was mentioning, non-woven product, technical textiles. So we have all those are key modules within the program. So you cover every single major aspect of the textile technology there. And then that technology can have different application. You can use that technology to inform a better fashion product, or you can design a better parachute, or you can design a better fire retardant garment. So there are different ways to use that knowledge for different applications there. And then there's a major research project as well in the third year, in the final year, or fourth year if students have done an industry placement. So in that project, then it's a research project. Again, our aim is to work closely with the industry, with the sector, to define those projects and work together with industry to do those projects in terms of the research there as well. Steve, you want to add anything? Sorry, you're mute.
I had to be the person to do that. Just at least someone made that mistake, and it had to be me, didn't it? Yeah, I think you can see here what we're trying to do is make sure that we're giving these students a very broad technical basis. So even if they don't finish up working in the technical textile area, they will understand concepts that are relevant to many others. So this is one of the challenges of our industry. It is very complex, very diverse. It's really useful understanding what's happening in other sectors and taking learnings from those sectors and applying it in your own. So this end-to-end understanding from materials right through to the end of life and management because we haven't mentioned collection, reuse, recycling, and so on. That's also a very important element of this. So the full life cycle perspective is built into this curriculum.
Yeah. So we have innovation module, and we have other modules. So we have not mentioned every single one, but there are as Steve mentioned, on all different aspects are covered there from the course. And again, we're going to talk a bit more about facilities at Leeds, because again, being a technology course, laboratories are very, very important. So I think I always describe, at least we have this micro factory environment. So you can start with polymer synthesis. We have lab scale, melt spinning, wet spinning. So you can, extrude materials, fibers on a very, very small scale. We have staple spinning, the most common method, ring spinning technology. Then we have, weaving. We have, small scale looms, 2D looms. We have 3D looms. We have knitting. We have, again, we have flatbed knitting machines. We also have full garment knitting machines, lab scale dyeing, finishing, and then, a fashion design studio as well. Some of the pictures are there. You can already see, some of the machines I've mentioned. And then if you see, the color labs, then performance assessment, textile testing lab, a non-women's lab, then again relevant to technical textiles and performance testing there as well. So I'm talking only about here textile specific labs within the school itself. So you can imagine you could start from an idea from a polymer and you can take it all the way to a garment or to a fabric swatch, a finished fabric swatch, all the way there. So I think that is, again, very few places in the world have that kind of capability. So we keep on expanding our facilities. We keep on investing into our facilities. So it's important, whatever we teach theoretically in the classes, then students can practically, reinforce their learning in a lab environment as well there. And I think what Steve had mentioned earlier, that beyond a lot of colleagues who teach on the course, they have industrial exposures, they work with industry, so they can bring in that perspective as well, that, we have then a nice mix of theory, practical, plus industrial context in all what we kind of deliver.
It's probably worth mentioning as well, because we've invested very, very heavily over the years in our facilities to reflect what we know is going on in the industry. But it's also probably worth mentioning that we encourage all our students in their final year, when they're doing their own project, to make sure that's an experimental project. So they're using equipment, they're working out structure property relationships, they're developing a prototype product, they're creating the specifications to go with that material. They're also benchmarking it against incumbent products, because that would be something that would be commercially relevant to do. Looking at the patent landscape and so on. So their awareness of product development is an innovation, and that those methodologies are embedded within the teaching.
I think, again, as I mentioned, beyond, as I said, we have the academic expertise, we have the labs, but I think one of the key stakeholder is the industry itself. So you can already see from the first 2 years of running, actually, we are towards the second year now finishing and recruiting, we are for the third cohort, and our first cohort is going for placement. So you can see we already have built these links with industry. And as you can see examples, UK industry has been very, very supportive, and we have worked closely. And some of these activities are part of the course. Again, for example, if you are studying a young manufacturing course, you will do practicals. You do practical on melt spinning, you'll do practical on staple spinning, and you do testing. But then there's also an industry visit part of that module. Similarly for other modules as well, on weaving or other modules there. So you can see an example, for example, we have visited Vultex, Abraham Moons, we have placement opportunity. We had a speaker coming in from Johnsons of Elgin. Camera, we work very closely with Laxton's fiber extrusion technologies, FET, for example. You can see a picture here, the industry guest lecture done by FET recently. Then, we took students for a visit. There are pictures from Vultex, from Laxton's, from Camera. So there are more pictures. And one thing I would say is our students are really ambassadors for the course itself. A lot of these pictures, I actually went to my students' LinkedIn profiles and I got those pictures from there. So they really are very passionate about the course. They can see where the need in the industry is. And I think then you can see that we embed in our learning those industry visits for them to see on an industry scale how things are. And it's always very reassuring when you go into industry. The first thing, we almost always get is, look, we need graduates. This is a gap. So I think that reinforces that message to the students as well. And if I go to the next slide, we have a few more pictures. Beyond industry visits, being part of key events. So you can see, making in textile. This was in Bradford in October last year. Again, students participated. They got an opportunity to network with other students, on courses in textiles and fashion, not particularly textile technology. But they could network, they could meet industry there. Then Premier Vision Paris, again, some of the students from the BSc attended that. And then ITMA, in September 2027 in Hanover, Germany, we already are working with the worshipful company of weavers to take a group of students, from the BSc to go and see ITMA. ITMA is the largest exhibition for textile machinery. And so we are hoping that we will take a group of BSc students to visit ITMA 2027 as well. Anything to add from your side, Steve?
I think really this just highlights another important feature, which is the international awareness. So if we take a UK perspective, clearly we want to make sure that the UK industry is vibrant, but to be able to do that and remain competitive, we also need students to be aware of international developments as well, what the international landscape looks like in terms of textile manufacturing, materials, and innovation. So this is why we want our students to be involved in these events, so they can see that perspective very early on.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. So I think I want to talk a bit more about industry placement now, because I think, so as I said, it is an optional. So in year 3, a student would go. We strongly encourage students to do an industry placement, but ultimately it's a student choice. So we always say, when a student is doing a placement, we expect them to be treated as a, employee of that company. They have the standard workplace policies. If, for example, if you have a uniform or whatever your policies are, then students comply to that. And then I think there is a meaningful task assigned to the students, which is aligned, which helps the industry to get something out of it as well as for the students. So we start with a clear placement plan. Really mentioning objectives, expectations, what training would be given, and then opportunities for feedback and mentoring. And then university has a couple of check-in points as well to ensure all is progressing as it should be. So these are virtual visits usually. Overall, it is, students can take one placement or they can take 2 placements, but they have to do 1,200 hours in total as a part of that placement. And so they will have an industry mentor for that placement itself. And by the end of it, they will produce a reflective portfolio and do a presentation. So it's a pass and fail, but that report then reflects on their time. So depends on the organization. It could be in a single area of expertise, or the student can work in different parts of the same organization. So there is a lot of opportunities how best those placements are designed or how best those placements are put together in terms of the industry placements there. Steve, do you want to add anything on industry placements?
Yeah, I think the other thing here is to make it clear. I think what we find is that once students are aware of the manufacturing supply chain that is available, so they're aware of the industry beyond the big brands that they often are aware of when they finish school, for example. Many of them are very interested, and they want to go into the supply chain, not just to big brands. So this is an opportunity, I think, as well, for students to see inside businesses, those businesses that are willing to do that. It can be extremely influential and helpful, and can completely transform a student's view of the industry. To go around a manufacturing site, it was what converted me a very long time ago. When I went around a factory, I found it fascinating, and students still do. But I think there's an onus on us to try to help them see the breadth of our industry, the supply chains, not just brands, to give them a real understanding of how it all works.
And I think being very open about it, that is a key challenge as well. How do you really communicate that message? Those who are aiming to come and study the course, how do you really convey that message that, look, what's the breadth of the industry? Sometimes there are some stereotypes about the industry. So I think that is an important thing where we have created that video. We are trying to do education engagement activities to convey that message to those who are looking for a university place, that what a rewarding career you can have and what are the opportunities in a textile technology course, I think, and then serving for that industry furthermore. Next, talking about scholarships, I think, again, just to mention, we were very, very lucky in the sense, and supported by Textile Livery Group in particular, and then industry as well has been very supportive for us to offer scholarships. And we found scholarships have been a key for us to attract students to the course and convert students on the program. So you can see cloth workers, Cotton Industry War Memorial Trust, drapers, merchant tailors, weavers, charities, woolmen, wool techs. I'll especially mention I think Vultex here, because Vultex, again, recently they've done industry visits. They have offered a scholarship on the program. So I think all of this. So in total, I think we have 31 scholarships at the moment overall, which we've offered. Some of them already have been used by the first, second cohort. But scholarships has been critical for us to help really launch this course. And I don't know, Katie, if you want to come in at that point, because I think you got a message from Vultex.
Indeed, Vultex actually wanted to be on this call today, and they've utilised this BSc. Jane, the commercial director, really wanted to emphasise how it's helping them. So I'm going to read a statement directly from Jane Shirley, commercial director at Vultex UK. Vultex have sponsored a scholarship on the BSc Textile Innovation course at Leeds. Steve and the team there have put lots of work into it, and we have welcomed a cohort to look around both our mills. Vultex, like many other UK mills, struggle to get suitably qualified technical graduates, and we believe this course should go some way to rectifying that. We would very much recommend the course to other businesses who require graduates with both technical and design understanding. So I know Jane as a East Yorkshire girl, and if she's saying that, it's probably about the highest recommendation that you can get. She says what she means, and she means what she says. So if Jane's saying it, I'd take her word for it. And I am sure if any businesses want to reach out and speak to Jane openly about it, just to find out more about her experience, she'd welcome that. So I'll hand back over to you guys.
Sure. Thank you much, Katie, and thank you much, Jane. I think she is a great supporter. And as I said earlier, we work with a lot. I think we always get a very positive response from the industry. Just to mention the scholarship itself. So the scholarship mainly we focus on about half of the tuition fee per year for 3 years for a student, and then £2,000 per year a maintenance grant. So when we started, it was roughly £20,000 per student for the duration of their study at the university, a scholarship. With the recent increase in the fees, it's about £21,000. So that is a commitment in terms of sponsoring a single student on the course for 3 years in there. So I think this is based on UK. So most of the scholarships have been focused on the UK students here. And as I said before, it especially with the Textile Livery Group has been instrumental, I think, for us to help us gain that momentum and launch that course. And now we're talking to you. We really want to make sure we sustain that, and we ensure, because these first few years are quite a make or break years for a course. So we want to ensure we have sustainable numbers on the course. And once our first graduates start coming out of the course and they start working in the industry, then we can tell those stories. We can share those stories with the future students, and then we can create that pipeline in the long term. But those scholarships at the start are quite pivotal for us to ensure that we recruit a good reasonable number of students on the course. So
I think just to add, Tosif, I think some people on the call may remember in the past attempts to try to get BSc teaching in technology to work because it was historically very difficult to get school leavers to choose to do a BSc program in textile technology. What has made a massive difference is co-creating the curriculum with industry, which we have done. So making sure that the industry informs the curriculum. The second thing is making sure that we signal to school leavers that this is an industry that is worth really taking seriously in terms of the opportunities available, and making those opportunities much more visible perhaps than they have been in the past. And the scholarship also signals to the very talented students too that this is an area that they should look at. So we shouldn't underestimate the effect that those scholarships have had, and particularly since they've been coming from the industry as well. And then the third thing is is around making those opportunities, communicating them as well much more clearly, as a kind of reflects the point I was making earlier on. Particularly businesses in supply chains supply fabric, supply yarn to make physical products, and those physical products, there's a very wide range of them, and a lot of people recognize those products, but they're not always aware of the manufacturing supply chain behind them. So if we can make people's awareness of all of that going on, particularly in the UK, much greater, then it really helps to promote our industry in a good way and make sure that we have a good flow of new talent into it. And it also informs the teachers in schools as well. They often struggle to understand what the opportunities are, just as much as the students do that they teach. And we see that in our students, what they've been told necessarily before they've arrived isn't necessarily as accurate or as wide-ranging as you'd hope. So this is the other point. We need to take seriously that this is a competitive landscape, and we need to show school leavers and schools that we are an exciting industry to join, and that there are opportunities for people. We can't just expect them to understand it automatically because they don't.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, Steve, there's a lot more to it, and I think we are always excited about textiles, but really to convey that message in the best possible way, that's an important part. I think just to summarize last couple of slides, I think how can you work with us? I think by offering scholarships, of course, as we have just emphasized how important they have been for us for the course itself, launching the course, recruiting 2 cohorts already there, offering industry placements. Again, as I said, first cohort already is looking for placements, most have secured, but we want that pipeline of placements as well, in a more structured way where we can work with industry, offer those placements. And beyond placements, like when you do a placement, the student might come back for, when they they might do a final year project linked to that industry where they did placement, or they would do a final project with a different industry. At the same time, I think we're looking at graduate placement opportunities. If you have a graduate program, if you want to, talk to us and see, look, can there be a pipeline for your graduate placement program? So we're open to those discussions as well. Then you offer industrial visits. Again, I've shown you many examples already, but if you would like to offer industrial visits, we are very happy to accommodate them and bring students, because again, we do a lot of industry visits as a part of different modules, as a part of course activities. And then, industry lectures, guest lectures. Again, if you would like to, spare some time, come and speak to our students, we very, very much welcome that as well. So, and as Steve said, we also are open to ideas and opportunities, how best to tell that story, how to engage, our target audience, and how to inform them better about the opportunities this amazing industry offers in so many different ways. Steve, you want to add anything before we go to the last couple of slides?
I think that's it. I think we want to work in partnership with the industry to make the opportunities much clearer, and we have resources internally as well. If businesses are willing to let us come in and talk directly to colleagues in factories, or to take video footage, these are all things that can help to communicate the opportunities much more clearly than the written word might have done in the past. Digital content is critical to get through to the students that we are targeting. And as I said earlier on, if you've worked in a factory a long time, you can overlook how interesting it is to other people. And I think if we can work together to create that content to communicate more widely to these people that coming out of schools, I think it would be really very helpful. And we're, geographically, it's not that difficult to do in the UK. It's harder in the US, but it's not so difficult in the UK to do that.
Thank you. So I think these are our email addresses. I think we can share them in the chat as well. So I think feel very free to reach out to Steve or to me if you have any questions. We can answer them or put you in touch with the right person in the team. So I think we very, very much welcome. I think if you have any questions or anything, any opportunities to discuss, I think so we would welcome that. And I think maybe I should have started with this slide. But Leeds as a campus, as a city, we have an amazing campus. So beyond the school, beyond the facilities which we talked about, as a campus, as a university, we are a campus-based university. We work a lot with other schools, different schools. So there are opportunities beyond, there as well, and that is, a beautiful picture. Maybe I'm a bit biased when I say this, but I think it's a beautiful picture. And so beyond, there is a lot of other things happening, and we are quite close to a lot of industry as well. But we don't want to be limited by that geographic closeness, but we are very happy to work all across UK with the relevant sector. I don't know, Steve, if you add anything, that's all for me.
No, I think that's fine, Tosif. Just really appreciate the chance to talk to everyone, and hope we can work together to further increase the flow of talented students into our industry who really understand technology, which I think many of us feel is absolutely crucial for. We talk about the sustainability of our industry in environmental terms, but from all perspectives, I think if we look at the wider perspective, sustainability is heavily linked to people that understand technology thoroughly, whether it's materials manufacturing, end-of-life management of textiles, buying, sourcing, compliance, you name it. Technology is crucial for all of these roles.
So I think, as you said, Steve, the textile circularity, there's a lot of change in landscape. There's a lot of change in the sector. I think those changes and those opportunities actually are going to bring more things for the UK and for the other countries, which had. So I think in summary, I think there is more coming down this way. There will be more opportunities, to work to make sure that we can make this industry more sustainable. At the same time, innovation and sustainability go hand in hand to work there. So I would say that is all from us. So thank you very much for this. We're open to any questions and hopefully some answers. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you both. Thank you, Steve and Tausif, for providing us with that information, which I know will be extremely useful to many businesses on this webinar. I'm going to emphasise the fact that this course was built from industry feedback. Every time I speak to somebody in business, we get the message that the graduates that are coming through, we are grateful of anybody, but we need people that are a bit more up to speed on the current landscapes. So this course, because it's done with an education partner that sits as part of UKFT, they are getting very up-to-date information on compliance, regulation, trade, all sorts of scientific matters, compliances, chemical compliances, technical compliances. So what I'm going to say is that this is the answer that industry has been looking for. It's not the one answer, because we understand industry needs these people now, and we are talking about a 3-year, 4-year potential course. However, to keep the pipeline going, we need businesses to engage with these courses, and it will be a use them or lose them scenario. At this moment in time, we're on a bit of a tipping point. So when you've got companies like Wooltex creating a scholarship opportunity, it is exactly what is needed, and it will not be needed forever. But yeah, if I speak to you businesses and you say, we will do anything we need to help this situation, please pick up the phone and speak to Steve, speak to Tausif of how you can engage. If it's not a scholarship, if it's not monetary, it could just be engagement. It could be opening your doors to a visit. It could be feeding into that course on some technical specialities you've got. And if you are on this webinar as an education person, a leader, what I would say is, can you please go and feed this information to your network, your colleges? Because believe me, as a student that went through design and then went through business and then went through a specialism in woven textiles, I would have been on this course, hell or high water, I would have been on it. So there are people out there that are sat in design courses that shouldn't really be there, and this is the answer for them. And then once you've got them in your business, they will, be a godsend for you. If you are a business looking to supply a scholarship, there are ways and means of protecting that investment. And again, if you wanted to speak about that in more detail, I have sat in businesses where we have provided a certain individual with quite a lot of funding, and then we have staggered a recovery of that fund should that person exit the business at a later stage. So there are means and ways of doing it. There are no hard and fast rules. Ask the question. This is new. You have created this. Industry have asked for it. It's been delivered, and we can mold it to fit if necessary. I'm going to go to some questions because we have had quite a few come in. So I am going to start with, how can industry help to increase student interest in studying textile technology is the first one.
I think maybe I can start here, and please feel to come in.
Yeah.
I think what we are saying is that, as Steve said, there's a breadth in industry, a diverse range of products, very exciting roles. We need to give that message to aspiring students. Look, these are the kind of roles you can do, these kind of products you can make, and that's the course name, Textile Innovation and Sustainability, because that means a lot, to our students in terms of innovating and being sustainable. So I think if you are interested, we can work together to create some digital content, and then we want to reach out through education engagement, to reach out to schools and share that content. So I think that's the best way to work with us. And we also want to use your channels to amplify that message as well. A lot of our partners, a lot of our, kind of, especially on the brands side, retailer side, and even on the manufacturing side, they have quite a big reach on social medias, on professional medias. So then you can help us to amplify that message as well. So I think if you're interested, please reach out to us, and then we can do that. And I think Katie or Brian, if someone can drop our email addresses in the chat, so people can have that as well if you want to contact us.
Yeah, UKFT staff can do that behind the scenes. Next question, what is the current recruitment on the first 2 cohorts?
Yep, so we have 11 students on the first cohort, and we have 16 students in the second cohort. So I think, again, I think this is how we were envisioning it. So we have 11 and 16, and we're recruiting for the third cohort right now. And we're also going for international agreements and partnerships. There is a lot of textile industry globally all over the world, so we are signing up these international partnerships and agreements to attract international students as well. So you want a mix of home and international students to study together, diversify, and also learn more about industry beyond the UK, and they learn within the UK. So I think so these are the current recruitment numbers.
Perfect, thank you. We've got more from probably the student side at the minute. So any scholarships available to do PhD? I am in the UK, but I need fully funded opportunity in sustainable textile.
Yep, we can answer that quickly. I think if for UK fee-paying student, we have opportunities. They are advertised on our website. Again, Steve can come in more, but with LETAC, we have really focused a lot of the industry gaps, skills area, developing our PhD graduates. So I think for UK fee-paying students, there are opportunities. There are some advertised right now as well for a PhD. For international students, the opportunities are limited. Generally, the ways scholarships are. So a lot of our funders, they want to focus on the UK, are creating that supply chain, or that skill set. So I would say definitely there are PhD opportunities which we offer. I don't know, Steve, you're going to come a bit more on the PhD.
Yeah, I think for people wondering, I mean, these are research degrees, so beyond undergraduate degrees. So research degrees usually they are advertised on the university website as they become available. So the scholarships that Tosif was mentioning, they're generally advertised as and when they become available. So that's an entirely different degree program, effectively, for research. And there are some, I think, being advertised still at the moment in the current round. So I'd advise the questioners just to have a look and to see what opportunities they can find there.
Straight to the website for that one. Thanks. Right. We've got, are there still students available for placement in September 26?
Yeah, there are, like I said, some students already have secured placements, but some are, still looking for placements. And then again, as I said, students can take more than one placement, so they might be interested to have two very different experiences with two different, companies. So if you're interested to offer a placement, please just drop an email, and we're quite happy to discuss that.
Thank you. What is the student interest in industry placements? Do most students want to do the placement year?
Yeah, because we only have a very small data set, only first cohort is looking for placements right now. But I can tell you that most students want to go for a placement. That's what we have got the feedback, and most students already have secured a placement as well.
Yeah.
And then we've got, how far in advance do you need to apply for a scholarship?
So we don't have a separate process for scholarship application. So when you apply for the course, you're automatically considered for a scholarship. For scholarship, we have two scholarships. We have an academic achievement scholarship, and we have affordability route of scholarship as well. So I think when you apply for a place, you're automatically considered for a scholarship. University also offers UMS, undergraduate mean thesis scholarship. So if you want to apply for that, then you have to do a separate application. But for the BSc, any student who applies is automatically considered for the scholarship.
Fab. Do you go to schools to talk to students?
Yes, we do. So we do, a range of us go and do activities, going to schools and talk about textiles, talk about the course. But as Steve had mentioned earlier as well, what we want to focus is on create some engaging and useful digital content in collaboration with industry, because then our reach can be much, much bigger, because there's only certain number of schools you can do, to go physically and talk in schools about it. One of my most personal interesting experience was going to a primary school and talking about textiles and telling them about fibers, and actually a student took off their sock and asked me how many fibers are in this sock, and I had to come up with an answer. I could not say, I don't know, but I estimated roughly how many grams a sock is, fiber yarn, and I could come up with an answer. But it's very, very interesting. Trust me, when you go and the kind of questions you got, I got a question, can you grow cotton in UK? So these were year 3 students. So you can imagine. So there is a very, very interesting question. So I think if we reach out, we go to schools, talk about the course, we really need to do that work of creating more awareness about this industry and the opportunities it offers. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotionally attached here, but I think to say textiles sometimes becomes an invisible industry. It is everywhere, everything, and it is an interconnection of industries. You look at automotives, chemicals, spacesuits, anything. Textiles are linked there. So I think that's a message we want to get across to students and to people and to parents, or to the caretakers about the course.
Yeah, I'd add to that. UKFT are, really doing a big push and plight on the fact that textiles goes way beyond a catwalk, way beyond what's on our backs. It holds the buildings up, it transfers the electricity, it goes in underland pipes underneath the channel. What Elon Musk puts his astronauts in is textiles. So I've got businesses that have Formula One race car textiles in them, got ones that put parachutes on the moon, on to Mars. And we are trying to get that message out on a backwards scale. So we've obviously got the universities, the colleges, the high schools, and then the really young. And from what you've just said as well, Tausif, we've had a primary school young lad ask, how do you make white? How do you make white? What colours do you mix together to make white? So yeah, so they've definitely got an interest in it. And I think once you frame it as something that is cool and it's technical and it is precision engineering, you open up a whole new world other than designers with a nice portfolio. More questions. Do you have a trial/summer course students can try to learn more about it? So a taster session, I assume.
Yeah. So I would say we do offer open days. So when you come for an open day, and we also offer holder days, you can see the facilities, you can know more about the course, you can meet the team, you can meet your other potential applicants as well. So we do those activities, but we don't offer as such a taster course or as such. But if someone has interest, as I said, please feel free to reach out to us and we can see how best to support them. But we don't formally offer a taster course as such.
Yeah, for somebody who was familiar with Leeds University before I joined UKFT, just send the email or pick up the phone. They're very responsive, and if there's something to be had there, they will assist and help. If it becomes such a demand that a summer course would potentially help, a taster session, I'm sure again it can be looked into in the future. Again,
I think we do offer CPD courses, Katie, just to add, we do offer continuous professional development. We have some online courses, but we also have established in-person courses offer as well. We do a textile technology course, a 2-day version, a 5-day version. We do a knitting course. We do a range of other courses. We do online courses, online professional learning courses as well, on fibers and on, manufacturing and other parts. So, feel free to explore our website or drop us a message and we can send you the right details.
I've got the next couple of questions you might have already answered in what you've just said, because it goes away from sort of this particular course. We've got somebody asking, do you offer affiliated apprenticeships as well as full-time university courses? And then we've also got, do you encourage career switchers to join the industry? Is there a course for that? Which sounds like the continuous professional development potentially. So I'll let you answer.
Yeah. So I would say we don't offer affiliated apprenticeship. We know, we work closely with, Textile Center of Excellence in Huddersfield. I think they offer a lot of apprenticeship, Steve, through there, but we don't offer apprenticeships as such through the university. And coming to the second question, we do offer, in terms of career switching, it depends on, because we have a master's course as well. We talked about BSc today, but we have MSc Textile Sustainability and Innovation course as well. And if you already have enough experience or you have a first degree, a lot of students on that course take it as a conversion course. So they come from students from anthropology, mechanical engineering, design background, all different backgrounds, and they take it as a conversion course, go and work in the industry. Many examples within UK, Europe, internationally, where our students are serving in the sector. So that could be a course there. But again, at the same time, if you're looking for an undergraduate, then definitely I think the BSc is a good opportunity. And as I said, there are professional learning courses as well, the CPD courses which we offer.
Yeah.
And the MSc program is 1 year. So as Tosif mentioned, it's very common for that cohort to come from very different backgrounds. I mean, very diverse backgrounds, and it's quite intense for the year, but we essentially give them a real deep dive into the world of textile technology and sustainability.
And on the MSc, Steve, just to add, we also have, with the help of Cloth Workers Scholarships, we have, I think, 4 scholarships, £10,000 each for the home students. Yes. So we have those scholarships offered as well. Again, they are academic achievement based. So you're automatically considered for it. And then there are 4 scholarships on the MSc as well.
Perfect. Questions have finished now. We haven't got any more unless anybody wants to drop in any last minute ones. But if anybody goes away from this webinar and thinks, oh, I should have asked, we have dropped Steve and Tausif's email information in the chat for everybody. This webinar has been recorded and we will send out the recording and any additional information to everyone who is registered. But unless you've got anything to add, Tausif or Steve.
I would just say, Katie, if anyone wants to come and have a look around and come and talk to us, then just drop us a line. You're very welcome to come with no obligation. I think it's important sometimes that you take the opportunity to see what's available. So even though we are a university and we're academics, we are actually quite approachable. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to.
We are nice people.
Well, we like to think so.
Yeah, exactly.
But there is a lot of resource here which we've built up over a very long period of time, and I think the facilities here are second to none in the UK. So I think if anyone wants to have a look around to see what we are doing, to eyeball the facilities in more detail, then please drop us a line. You're welcome to come.
Mm-hmm. I think again we might have covered this one very briefly. Do you offer CPD in textile sustainability for those that are already in the industry?
Yeah.
I was gonna type the answer to that one and say yeah. But again, all this information is in the website, guys. And again, if you want to have that direct communication, email addresses are in there, and Stephen Tausif will fire the information across direct, I'm sure. So unless there is any more, we will possibly wrap it up to remain on time. Before everybody makes an escape, I'm going to just highlight a couple more things that might be relevant to people that are on the webinar. A couple more events that are coming up from UKFT. We've got our Sustainability 101 webinar on the 7th of July. That one is on water foundations, compliance, reporting and stewardship approaches. So if you have a role or an interest in sustainable processes and practices, that'll be one for you. And then on the 21st of July, we've got our Compliance 101 webinar, forced labour and due diligence. So that is probably one for HR teams, corporate social responsibility teams who would find very useful. So to close, thank you again to Steve and Tausif. Thank you to all of you for attending. And if you would like any further information on this or any other subject, please do get in touch with us at UKFT. We do not bite. We welcome the calls, the challenges, all of it. Come and speak to us. We look forward to seeing you all again soon, hopefully. And enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you much. Bye.
Bye-bye.